everyone, Stacy here from Dies to Die For. Welcome to Tuesday night's card making video. Tonight we're going to be using our new roses and carnations and vases die and making this card. Let me show you the dies we'll be using first. This is our baby's breath we'll be using in the glass vases. The glass vases are long stem roses, carnations, I'm Here For You die, and then we'll also be using one of the stitch rectangles from our designer kits. Let me show you what I do first. First, I'm going to, well, I have two sets of these. One of them's connected and one's not. On my unconnected one, I took all of these out of the center and I just left these two together, put it through my machine. So I came out with a frame like this, if you can see that frame around there, and then a mat. Then what I did with my mat, let me get my little clipboard here. I took my distressed ink, the Tattered Rose, and I don't need to do this whole one, I just want to show you because I've already done the one we're going to use tonight. But I just went around the whole matte rectangle, kind of like that. And then some spots I didn't completely blend the ink in all spots. I wanted the variation in color, so some spots I did really dark and some I left lighter, kind of like that. You get the idea. And then also, we're going to have a glass vase. Oh, one cut out of white. Let's see, I don't have one here, but anyway, I used the Tattered Rose on that also. And then we're going to have one vellum glass vase. And I inked right on the very top here. I don't know if you can see it. I put some of the Tattered Rose color on the top. Put that down because I already have. And I think that is all for right now with the Tattered Rose. We are going to go around the roses with it once I build them and show you how to build them. While I have the glass vase here, I'm just going to grab some of my clear skies. And I want to make it look like there's water in this vase. So I'm going to go up most of the way to the top. And if you want your water to be really light blue, make it light. If you want it dark blue, make it dark. But I put the ink directly on the vellum. Okay. Kind of like that. And the reason I inked this white back piece in the top of this is because when you put it on your, let me grab a, when you put it on your background, I want it to look like a glass vase. So you see the background color, it looks like you're looking into a glass. That's why I inked that. And you can skip this step if you want and just use the vellum vase. But I like this because then once I put my flowers in, I have something to attach them to. And it gives it a little bit more dimension. I like dimension. Okay, I think that's all that we use the clear skies on, so won't need that anymore. Now I did go around the edge of this just with my Tattered Rose ink pad, like that. And I went around the inside edge also, just to give it a little bit more character. Now, the one that we'll be using tonight, I've already attached my I'm Here word to, but I put pop tape on it. If you can see that. On my original, I used pop dots because I wanted, the pop tape's not quite as thick and I wanted it a little thicker, but I just went for the tape tonight. And then we're going to line that up right in the middle of that back rectangle, that rectangle frame. Okay, now I took my vase first. I laid everything out without adhesive on it and took my vase and decided where I wanted it. And I put my word so the I is right in this little crease. And then I stuck it down. I want that down before I start building my vase so that I know where my flowers are going to come out. So I don't have a big empty area over here. You'll see in a minute. Let's start building some flowers though. Okay, first the carnation. I took, what did we use? We used the Simon Hurley Later Gator green for this, and I inked, each carnation is going to take 2 flowers. So I inked the green, the Later Gator, on one, and then the other one, I wanted it a really pale yellow. So I took my yellow brush and I really cleaned it off good. So there was just a little bit of yellow left on it. You see that? And that's a little dark right there, but that's okay. And then I also went over it with my cloud white to tone it down a little bit more, to tone that yellow down. Then what you're going to do is just snip the flower part, that carnation off. And on my first card, if you can see, I really clean my brush. They're really pale yellow. I went a little darker for these cards. I thought it needed a little bit more color. Put my glue on there. And then because you're going to be putting, let's see, we put 3 roses, 2 carnations, and a bunch of baby's breath in the glass vase. You don't want all these leaves and stems getting in the way. So I'm just going to cut the stems down on the carnations because they go in the front. So the stems don't have to be super long on these guys. And then make sure you cut those leaves off so when you're sliding things in, there's as little resistance as possible. Okay, that is how I built my carnations, and you only need 2 of those. And let me show you the roses. We have the open rose and the closed rose. And what I did was I inked the stems and the leaves again on one. And then this one, I'm just going to use the top part, but you can use these leaves, these extra leaves as extra greenery in your vase. So I inked those too. I just didn't go all the way up on the stem because there's no need to. Oh, and when you ink this also, don't forget to get these pieces right here. That's part of the greenery on the rose. Okay, oh, where is my white? Right here. I did some white on the roses because that gives it, that defines those lines on there a little bit more, I think. It's probably really hard to see on this video, but let's see if you can see it a little bit. I think it adds just a little something anyway. And I have more pieces here than what I'm going to use. I just have them at different steps in my process. And then I took a little bit more of the tattered rose and just touched the edges a little bit on the roses. Just to add a teeny tiny bit of color. There. Okay, this one is done. This one is done, and we need one more because you're going to have 1 of the open roses and 2 of the closed roses. So this is the one I just inked, isn't it? Yes. Make sure you cut those little pokey things, that part of that greenery off, so that the green shows through. My glue bottle's a little empty. I tried to get the cap off to refill it, but I guess I'm just not strong enough. I have to wait to have my husband take it off. Okay, there. Now, this you could cut, and you could either use it for greenery in your vase, or you can use it on a later project. I don't like to waste leaves because they're always useful for something. Okay, then I cut the leaves off on these stems also, so that when I put them in the vase, and they're not perfect, but when you put them in the vase, you can still see the stem, but they're not, the leaves aren't going to get in the way. And the long stem, or the closed long stem roses, I cut down a little bit. Okay, we don't need these pieces. Those were just to show you. So let's put those aside. Okay, we have our roses done now. I think, oh, and then baby's breath. That's right, I was going to show you this. I've already inked this, but the stems on the roses, I forgot to say, I did in the peeled paint. And then the stems on the baby's breath, I actually did in the peeled paint, but then I went over it with later gator also. That way the stems of all three of the things you're using in your vase are just a little bit different. There's the one we'll be using, see? Adds a little bit more color and interest. All right, anyway, I just inked this one really quick to show you how I build the baby's breath. Once I ink it, I just snip all these little buds off right there. And then I take my glue, and I always start with the centerpiece right here, so I know I can line everything else up, and glue it right down on there, so you still see the white buds. If you like it like this, you can leave it like that too. It's kind of pretty. Okay, there's all of our flowers for tonight. Now let's build our vase. For the vase, I want this vellum part attached because I'm going to be putting my flowers through there, and I want it lined up with this, so I don't want it to move at all. So I'm just gonna put a line, maybe a line of adhesive right around the very edge on the bottom. I don't want to glue all the way because I still have to put all my flowers in there. This is how I'm going to build my vase full of flowers anyway. If you have an easier way, you go right ahead and do it that way. This is what works or doesn't really work for me. Okay, now you see that's still open. Now, all of your flowers, I am going to start with my biggest one. But when I do that, I want to be able to lay them on here. And this vase, I want down just a little bit below this. Kind of more towards the end. And then once you cut the leaves off on this bigger rose, the stem does get kind of weak, so, and it flaps all around. I don't think I want it up that high. Putting your flowers in the vases is the tricky part. That's the process. So this one, because I have so much room over here, I want this one sticking out a little. Actually, is that other stem longer? A little bit. I should have left my stems a little tiny bit longer because I would like it out more, but that's good. That one kind of there. Now I'm holding my stems where I want them once I get things in there. And if they move, you can adjust them once you have everything in there. Or it might be easier for you to put everything in there and then adjust everything. Not for me, though. I'll do it the hard way. The larger baby's breath. The baby's breath die comes with 2 different sizes. I cut out 2 of the larger and 2, well, makes 2. I actually cut out 4 larger and 4 smaller so I could layer them. But I want 2 and 2. And then when you get ready to glue, if you don't like that where it is, you can bend it down a little and glue it wherever you want. Let go of that a minute. Here's my 2 smaller baby's breath. Those I'm going to put in front of my roses. And it's okay if things move. You will probably end up rearranging it. I usually rearrange mine 1,000 times. What I found helped when I did my first vase was I glued this heavy rose to the baby's breath. That seemed to keep it a little more stable when I was trying to arrange everything. Now these carnations, I want 2 of those, or the 2 of those in the front. And this one, I think I'm going to clip these leaves off too, because I want this one pushed down a little bit further. Kind of like that. And I want this rose right here up further too. Okay, now where did some of my greenery go? In there. That's what these little pieces are perfect for. You have space left in there you want to fill, just start sticking them in. We'll add another layer of color. And on my original card, I didn't want these carnations to flatten out, so I did put a pop dot on the back of them. Maybe put that kind of right there. Maybe one right over there. Kind of like that. Okay, now these are obviously not going to stay where I put them right now, but because once I pick this vase up to glue everything, they're going to move around. Does that look like it's full enough? Yeah, I think if I glue this down over here, we're going to be okay. I want this baby's breath up a little bit more though. It's kind of tucked down in there too far, hiding a little bit. Let's take those little leaves off for a minute. See, I told you this is the hardest part of the whole. It's not really hard. I like flower arranging, so it's fun for me, but I can see some people getting really frustrated with this. All right. kind of like that. But then also you got to make sure that your stems are not sticking out of the sides of your vase. Okay, I think I have those about where I want them. So I'm going to flip everything over and hold them in place. And I'm sure that you probably can't see what I'm doing, but I am just putting glue on the back of all of the stems. I would show you if I could, but if I move my fingers to show you guys, then I'm going to have to repeat the whole thing over again. Just hold everything into place, put glue on the back, and glue it down. Then you can go back if you want to glue the edges of the vase that you did not glue to begin with. You can go back and do that right now. Hopefully I got all of those stems. Okay. Now, let's glue the vase down, and then we'll start gluing the tops of our flowers where we want them to place them a little better. Okay, this vase I want right about there. Got some hair in it somewhere. It's probably my hair. It does not want to come off. We'll just cut. It will not cut either. Can you guys see that little piece of hair? It must be in between the flowers or the baby's breath. I must not have seen it when I was gluing. I'll just cut it right off. Enough playing with that stinking hair. Okay. Now this I know I want way over here. Now remember, if you want your carnations popped up, don't glue those down. That's good. Let's... Even the roses, you don't have to glue them into place if you don't want. The closed roses. The open rose, I would suggest definitely gluing that one because that is very top heavy. If you leave it flapping, it might break off. A little bit further. Okay, where's my pop dots? That probably just took my whole time doing that. Feels like it took a long time. Which is normally fine when I'm sitting here doing it for myself, but when I'm trying to get it in a 27-minute video. Okay. Now you're just going to go back and put some glue on the back of the greenery and tuck it in wherever you feel like you need something. One kind of right there. And these, this greenery, you could have also inked it any other color green to add another layer of color to your project. Okay. I think that is about full enough. Then let me check my time real quick. We are at 25 minutes, so we gotta hurry on this. Then I took some of my clear sequins, and I'm not gonna glue them down. I'm just gonna show you. I kind of scattered them all over. These are also in our designer kit, in Lou's designer kit. I really like these sequins. I've used them on a lot of projects so far. And I just spread them all over, just like that. Now, I had some extra pieces left over, so I'm going to show you this quick. I just used a stitch square, or stitch rectangle, sorry, and I did the tattered rose on it, put the for you, because that saying says I'm here for you on the inside, and another small rose in the vase. That's going to be the inside of my card. And I will fly through this one quick. The slimline card, I did the same exact way, only I used the Gina Marie stitch slimline stitch rectangles because we don't have a set of those. And Gina's are just a little bit smaller than a 3.5 by 8.5 card. She did that so that they can nest right in the center of it, but I wanted them edge to edge. So I'm just gonna, when I'm done, take my paper cutter and trim this off. I popped the center up also. I built my vase the exact same way. And then I'm gonna put that on there like that. Put that there. And then scatter some sequins. Just like that. All right, there you are. One slimline in A2 size card using our new carnations, baby's breath, long stem roses, glass vases, and stitched rectangles. We will see you again on Thursday night. Thanks for watching.